Welcome back to She Can, where women lead by example by telling their stories, because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm very excited to talk to Dezita Taylor today. Dezita, welcome to She Can.
Thank
You're,
you.
you're an award-winning operating department practitioner, and you're going to tell us more about what that means. You have a master in education, you're an associate professor for pre-qualifying healthcare practice and college academic lead for apprenticeships at Birmingham City University. You oversee 600 student nursing practitioners or associates, which is the largest program in the UK. Your mission is to shape a skilled and compassionate healthcare workforce, which we all know, especially since the pandemic, how important that is.
Mhm.
You are championing and leading in an inclusive and purposeful way. You champion diversity and equity because you have seen and felt what it's like when that's not the case. Dezita,
Absolutely.
so I'm excited to hear your story today. Tell us a bit more about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk on this amazing platform. I'm always looking on it and getting inspired by other women's stories. So thank you for the opportunity in regards to that. My name is Dezita, and as I said before, associate professor at Birmingham City University, and it's quite a diverse role as well.
Mm.
And I've had an amazing career in healthcare and academia, 24 years. I always say it's good face cream, but 24 years I've been in healthcare and academia. And where I'm at now is really important and a good story in regards to that, because in order to know and appreciate where I'm at now, you've got to go right back to where I was before. So I'm really proud to be of mixed race heritage. My mum is Irish British and my dad is Jamaican. So I would say I get the best of both worlds, and I love the cultural diversity that comes with that.
Mm.
But what I found very early on is that there's very little research out there on the experiences of mixed race women, particularly how educational experiences shape our career progression. So statistically, really, I shouldn't have done well at school. I shouldn't have gone to university, and I shouldn't have or shouldn't be in the leadership roles that I'm in or I have been as well. But yet I have been and I am against many challenges. So I wanted to explore the reasons why this may have been and what the difference is between my experiences and maybe the experiences of others. So I recently finished my master's in education,
Yeah,
and I did my dissertation
congratulations.
titled Still I Rise, because I'm a huge Maya Angelou fan. And it was around a mixed race woman's journey into senior leadership in UK academia and UK higher education. And just for context as well, from a mixed race perspective, we only make up only 2.8% of the academic workforce here in the UK. Black women make up only 3% compared to 39.1% of white women and 40% of white men. These are stark statistics that are out there. And
Yeah.
delving deeper within that as well, from a senior leadership perspective, which includes associate professors like myself, only 3.1% are held by BME females. That's the term that they use, so that's the term that I'm using in this discussion.
Mm.
Compared to 56% of white males and 35% of white females. So something isn't working and something isn't right. And I was really keen to explore what the reason is, because there's lots of things out there, lots of projects, lots of things pushing women forward, women of colour, but still the numbers are creeping up slowly, but not enough. The impact isn't enough. So I wanted to start with my motto. I come from Wolverhampton in the West Midlands, and our motto is "Out of darkness cometh light." And I love that. I use that in quite a lot of my conferences because it's quite a powerful thing to start on, and it explains my journey really well as well. So, as a young girl in Wolverhampton in education and being mixed race, I found it really difficult to navigate the intersection of gender and race and multiple identities aligned to my ethnicity. And then you have to navigate the stereotypes that come with that as well, and trying to understand my place in the world at the time where people didn't understand what it was to be mixed race. They didn't understand that lived experience was the 80s. The term half caste was used regularly. It was a normal thing to be called that. And the majority of mixed race individuals felt isolated, didn't have a sense of belonging. And you can start to see why these educational experiences can really shape our future choices in our career progression as well. So those pivotal moments for me was definitely school. I loved school. I was nosy by nature. I still am, by the way. I'm nosy by nature. I loved education. But I was taught in predominantly white education institutions, which isn't a problem. But back in the day, they didn't have an understanding of my lived experiences. So there were biases, there was some racism, there was microaggressions. I was surrounded by people that didn't look like me, that didn't understand me, didn't understand my lived experience, and there was hardly any diversity represented within the teaching roles or leadership. And I remember just a very quick story from that. I remember going into my new school, and I was about 7 at the time. And I remember the classroom went so quiet, and I had to introduce myself. And I had to say my name. And Dezita's a very unusual name, but I'm very proud of it. I'm named after my auntie in Jamaica. She's chief of police, or was, she's just retired. And I said my name to the teacher, and she turned around and said, "That's far too complicated to remember. We'll just shorten it to D." And it's only 10 years ago that I've reclaimed my name
Wow.
because I was so embarrassed by that situation that has led to lots of different things throughout my career that I kind of just went along with it and went, okay. And it made me feel small. It made me feel like I wanted to hide. It made me feel very different. And it just sent a message to me that I just felt disconnected and isolated, didn't feel like I belonged. And the overall message was that roles like that and leadership roles were not for me, was not for girls like me, which was awful because I loved education. I loved it as well. But representation in education is essential for academic success. It really is. And I'm so glad that we see more diversity in education now. And those role models, especially within senior leadership, is really important. And I remember seeing a quote as well, because I'm a huge Brené Brown fan, and it says you either walk inside your story and own it, or you can stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. I absolutely love that. And 10 years ago, I read the book Daring Greatly, and it made me realise that I'd been carrying that shame for so many years
Mm.
of that incident. I
Yeah.
remember going into big meetings, even as a senior leader in healthcare, and saying, "My name's Dezita, but just call me D, it's easier."
Mm.
And that was me with my leadership experience as well. So reclaiming my name was a powerful, pivotal moment for me and has guided my leadership journey because I'm always talking about being inclusive and empowering others. And if I can't live that, then how am I meant to inspire others as well? So there's lots of different platforms that can help with that and help me. Race Equality Matters, My Name Is campaign, and the mixed race experiences on social media. That's growing and growing now. So that gave me the power to be able to do that and feel confident within that as well. But although my school years were challenging and navigating multiple racial and gender identities, alongside shame and isolation, on the flip side of that, it built my emotional intelligence. It made me more self-aware. It definitely made me more resilient. It enabled me to maintain or manage really complex emotions. And these qualities became the foundation of my personal professional growth and of my leadership moving forward as well. And what I've always tried to do is look at adversity as an opportunity. I know it's not always easy. We sit there and listen to people saying, well, if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. But you have to kind of hone that skill. It's not easy, but it gets easier the more that you do it. And skills like perseverance and innovation, these have been really instrumental within my leadership journey. So come to the NHS, which is a huge organisation, very diverse as well. I graduated as an operating department practitioner. I'm really proud of that role. It's a unique role and one that is um, international, but mostly within the UK.
Mhm.
And we get the amazing privilege to be able to look after people at their most vulnerable time. So we work in anaesthetics, surgery, and recovery. So it's three skills. And
Mm.
we get to work in operating theatres, we get to work in A&E, intensive care units, and the role is growing and growing. It's still new within its infancy compared to nursing, but it's an amazing role and one that I was really proud to be able to study at Birmingham City University. So I was a student and I worked there. They can't get rid of me. I'm always joking about that. I was the first to go to university in my family and to walk across that graduation stage and see my mum there and my family. I still remember that like it was yesterday. It was a long time ago now. I was so proud to do that. But to work as an ODP as well within healthcare was amazing. But what I realised was that there were very little ODP female leaders in the NHS, very few, sorry, ODP leaders of women of colour. And they were from very different social and economic backgrounds to me as well. So it was clear that we needed to do more and I wanted to do more. And I can get like that. If I see something, I'm going to aim for it in regards to that. And I remember going for my first, what was called a sisters post or a band six role. And I was interviewing alongside people with double the experience that I had. And I actually thought, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and see what happens because we do that. You've got to be able to have that courage to be able to do that. And I interviewed alongside these people and I got the job. And I was so overwhelmed and happy and but also nervous as well. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew that I had to prove myself. I could feel that within the first few years as well. I had amazing mentorship, and I talk about this in my dissertation because I think a lot of the time we sit here and we say, well, it's really great to be mentored by somebody from the same lived experience. I never had that. But it doesn't mean that there's not good mentors out there. I had amazing managers that weren't like me, didn't look like me, didn't have my lived experience, but empathized and wanted the best for me.
Yeah.
Therefore, they invested in me. And I'm so grateful for that mentorship because it has stood the test of time and helped me throughout my career as well. But throughout that time in the NHS and working with an amazing team, and that is part of my favorite part of that. Well, it's a double thing really. I love being able to care for individuals, but I love the team development. It's a high pressured environment in theatres. It takes a lot of concentration, a lot of patience, but I loved every moment of it. But during that time, I was able to lead on robotic surgery, one of the first institutions, trust to be able to do that. And I developed processes and protocols because there was nothing out there. It was very
Mm.
new, and developed the team to ensure that safety was key and paramount. And this meant that I had to use skills like being forward thinking to devise these robotic competencies. You had to guide and motivate and inspire others when really they were really scared of technology. You know, technology isn't for everybody. And you had to show that visible and accessible leadership and create really solid networks, which were a really important part of that. But part of that was came my first public speaking engagement at a conference, and I tell like, people are always like, "You're so chatty and you look so confident." It's very different when you're looking at a room of 100 odd people and you're just thinking, "I never thought I'd be able to do this in my entire life." I was so nervous, but I said yes for two reasons. One, to challenge myself, and you've got to be able to do that, do things that scare you more often. Because if I hadn't have said that, if I hadn't have agreed to that, I wouldn't have had the opportunities. I don't think I'd be here now in these roles that I've done. I was able to sit on really important boards like the British and Irish gynecological surgeons board and the European one as well. I was able to travel the world and teach education to amazing people, and I've still got really solid friendships and networks from that as well. Um, and throughout all of that, I achieved professional credibility for robotic surgery, for being an authentic leader, for bringing people along with you. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think it's important to be a lifelong learning advocate as well. Every day is a learning day, as we say, and being a real driving force for change because we needed that in robotic surgery. It wasn't easy to implement. Um, and through that as well, I look back. And even now, I see the team who never thought they'd go to university again after they finished their studies. They've published articles, they've done research, they have published a book recently, a book chapter. And to know that I've been a little part of that from a leadership perspective fills me with the most joy. It's the best part of being a leader and seeing people progress and develop whilst also helping patients and safety as well. So then I come to academia. That's the last bit of my journey so far. I moved into education academia because I thought I'd done enough within healthcare, but I wanted to make sure we were creating skilled, caring, critical thinking healthcare practitioners for the future because it is getting really tough and really hard in healthcare. And I wanted to be able to make a difference in a different way. So having to start a new career and stepping out of my comfort zone made me doubt all of my achievements. I could see them on my CV, I could feel them, but starting afresh and new, it's a good thing, it keeps you on your toes, but it was a scary time for me. But I was really glad I made the decision. I often felt that people would expect more of me, and I had difficulty assessing my achievements and my abilities. But I noticed again in academia that there was very few individuals, women of colour within leadership. We were significantly underrepresented in academic teams, but in senior leadership as well. But again, it didn't make me sad. It just made me more determined to make sure that there was more equity within those teams as well. So I worked my way through being a lecturer, a senior lecturer, and a course lead. And then the head of department associate professor job came up. And I remember thinking to myself, who do I think I am applying for this role? Like I can't do this. This is crazy in regards to that. And again, I had really good mentors, didn't look like me, didn't know my lived experience, but really were championing me to say, you can do this. This is an amazing opportunity. So I made sure I sought out opportunities for growth and made sure I made connections with people who were going to lift me, who were going to invest in me as well. Um, so I went for the job and I got it. It was at the start of the pandemic, not a great time to start a new role in regards to that, but also as well, so there's all that to deal with, as well as the team were quite new. We were managing huge numbers, and I kept thinking, where do I start with all of this as well? But I've got an amazing team. I like to think that I've always demonstrated authentic and compassionate leadership, and I think that was definitely needed throughout the pandemic to try and get. I was having to manage people going into practice, but also getting as many students as we could possible through the university and on the shop floor in regards to being part of the numbers in the pandemic. And it was, when you look back, you can't even believe that happened. But I knew I'd need these skills to navigate the stressful situations, to support the team.
Yeah.
Our students were overwhelmed and stressed and anxious and fearful. And I tried to utilize my experience to kind of reframe and flip the team's mindset and the students' mindset, seeing it as a opportunity to learn digital technologies, because we all had to learn that within the pandemic as well, and tried to have that collective purpose. And inclusive leadership was always at the heart of everything that I did. Individuals always want to feel valued and seen and heard and respected and treated fairly without discrimination. And I always try to listen without judgment. I absolutely invest in open and transparent communication. I own my mistakes and the decisions that I make. Did I always get it right? No, but I learned from those moments as well. And I worked hard with the team and worked in regards to their strengths and their challenges as well, to try new innovative techniques. Some things worked, some things didn't. It was absolutely fine that that was okay, and to lean into their vulnerability and fears as well, because that's a really important thing to do as a leader, a manager, to make sure that you are investing within those individuals and supporting them at really difficult times. So throughout that, what I now have is a dynamic, innovative, creative team. I am biased, they are my team, but they are empathetic and resilient. And I see that feedback coming back from the students continually. Um, I've been able to reshape a whole department with their help by taking a transparent and supportive approach, one that supports courage and collaboration and development. But I don't work in silo in regards to this. This isn't absolutely a team effort. I can't do anything as a leader and manager without the team behind me. And because of that, we always say we do it for the cause, not the applause, but we were nominated and were successful at so many awards. So we won things like the Dean Awards, which recognised our notable contribution to overall student experience. We won the Nursing Times Award, and we've been runners up subsequent to that each year for the Nursing Associate Programme Provider of the Year. And then from a personal perspective, which is really lovely, I was the winner of the Lenny Henry BCU Inclusivity Award because of my work within International Women's Day. I love doing stuff like that, but just championing diversity and inclusivity just within the teams, from the small things to the big projects. I think you've got to be able to do that. And like I said, we do it for the cause, not the applause, but it was lovely to be able to be recognised for that as well. And be able to speak at different events like the Women's Business Speaker Club, and be able to talk about allied health professionals. And this kind of storytelling for me is really important. So in a very short space of time, this is where I'm at now. And I also think as well that like I'm 42 in a couple of weeks, and I feel like I've only just started. I've got so many things that I want to be able to do and achieve, um, that I'm just happy that these challenges and obstacles in the past have not held me back. And I'm really grateful to the people around me that have supported me, but also my own resilience and perseverance as well.
And what an amazing storyteller you are,
Thank
Dezita,
you.
because
I try
really it's
to.
beautiful to listen to you, and you have packed so much into this. And I
Hmm.
think you are where you are because of these really powerful sponsors, because they were more than mentors, they were proper sponsors. And
Absolutely.
you are now passing this on. So you are uh, benefiting from the people who came before you, and you're now passing it on to the next generations, which is a very powerful proposition. Dezita,
Definitely.
what do you feel are your main learnings? What would you say are your main takeaways from first working within the NHS and now working in academia at the Birmingham City University? You have so many healthcare workers that are learning from you, that you influence. What do you feel are your major learnings or takeaways?
I think that going back to storytelling is so powerful. I always say it's part of our DNA. So you've got to walk your story, own your story, and then you get to write whatever ending. Our situations that we are born into or come into, it hasn't got to write our whole story. We
No.
can change that narrative
Mm.
whenever is possible. So we're so powerful in our own story as well. That's one of the main learnings because, like I said, statistically, I shouldn't be where I am, but I am, because of that as well. I think the learning is for me being able to reach back. People forget that in leadership sometimes, and I think it's easily done when you are so consumed with the day-to-day. Leadership is hard these days. It's always been hard, but even harder these days, and managing all the nuances that come with that. But I always say, don't forget to reach back and help and lift and inspire others and use your platforms for good. Because if I hadn't have done that, there might be individuals that have not gone on to do their training. So that I've seen that come through as well. I've seen our support workers go on and I've seen them graduate as nurses and ODPs. And I'm so proud and privileged to be able to have worked with them as well. And seeing these people that have published as well and just reaching back and help. That's what we should be doing as leaders and mentors and managers as well. And I think sometimes people can forget that there's so much joy in that as well. To see that pipeline, it doesn't end with us. You know, it should start with us, and then you can see all the amazing things that can come through that as well. Um, we talk about being brave so often, don't we? But it is about being brave and facing fears. And I always think that courage is contagious. And I get that feedback from others in regards to when you are courageous yourself and challenge the status quo or challenge wrongdoings, it does inspire people to do it because it's so hard for people to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's one big learning for me that I like to look back on as well. And yeah, learning it's all about maybe letting go of who, what do I always say? Letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embracing who you are. Because at school, like I said, I didn't think I could achieve, I didn't think I'd ever go. University wasn't even in my sphere. My mum was a single parent and her job was just keeping a roof over our heads. It wasn't about education, it was about safety and comfort. So I could have had a very different story and a very different place to where I'm at now. So it is about letting go who think you're supposed to be and embracing who you are. I knew that from a very early age that I wanted to be more and I wanted to do more. And I hope, no, I know that I've been able to achieve that.
You
Definitely.
have, and you lead so powerfully with your story, Dezita, because that's
Yeah.
really center for you. And the leadership that you bring to the table is one of inclusivity, and but you lead with your story, and therefore
Yeah.
it's inclusive and it's diverse and it's equal. And the most important piece is that it has the collective in mind. So you do it for the greater good. And that is
Absolutely.
something that we are not being shown, in leaders currently, or not in some of them
Yeah.
that should. And that's a very patriarchal thing. And in the patriarchal worldview, it's just about yourself. It's all about
Hmm.
me, right? My power,
Yeah.
my money, my and you leading by by the collective and the greater good. That's really these leaders we need for the future, because we're not going to get there if we keep leading as if it's just about us.
Absolutely.
Dezita, what are your top tips for, students or people in your courses and nurses and the people who are in education right now to be the leaders of tomorrow?
Well, I worked with a fantastic charity called 150 Student Leaders. It's finished now, but it was all about the leaders of the future. And I remember doing a talk there in regards to that. And I was talking about, again, it's probably some of the learning that's come from here, but it is around the fact that I always say I'm an associate professor, and people think I walk around with a Harry Potter cloak on all day. I wish I did, I don't. Um, but I had to work at being academic. I'm not academic naturally. I didn't get the best grades at school. I come through an apprenticeship route as well. I'm so proud of that. I had to go the long way to get to where I've been. So
Yeah.
when I talk to apprentices and students, I really have walked their walk and know the path that they're on. And I always say that when I first did my diploma, I didn't ask for help and support, and universities offer so much. We have lots of different support services available to help people. We don't want to see anybody struggle. We want people to succeed. And the amount of people that don't tap into that, and I never did to start with. And I always say, I never lived my life with regret but that one. Only I wish I'd asked, the personal tutors for advice and guidance. It wouldn't have been so much of a struggle. I would have enjoyed it more, my diploma, and I enjoy it more now because I know I still access that support even as an associate professor. So it's about accessing, not being embarrassed or ashamed, or because that's the kind of narrative that I get from people, that they don't really want to be on the back foot. But we've got so many things that can help people, not just our university, universities as a whole, and education. So I would say if the support is there, then take it, use it. Absolutely, because you'll have much better experience and much better outcomes as well in regards to that. Again, for students, a lot of the time they say, I saw a course and didn't go for it because I never thought that I could do that or even achieve that. There's so many open days at universities. Come and have a conversation with them. There's so many stories that we can tell in regards to that. We want a good, diverse range of learners and students on our courses. And there's so many people out there that have the qualities for healthcare, for nursing, that just need that conversation to be like, oh, I can actually access this and do this.
Mm.
So going to the open days, being inquisitive, being courageous, and even just, asking for the brochure or having those conversations are really important as well. For the staff, I mean, it is so hard in education politically at the moment. Education is tough. There's lots of funding cuts.
Yeah.
The workload is high as well. So again, it's about accessing the support, and there's no harm. We don't work in silo, we work as a team.
Yeah.
And I think the way that people contribute towards that is really important. So again, accessing the support that is out there, and to make sure that health and well-being is the priority. I always say that as a manager, if health and well-being isn't priority, I haven't got a robust team. That has to come first. All the other things come second. Health and well-being is a must in regards to that.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to what you said about learning, about being brave and facing fears, and courage is contagious, and making sure that people go for things. Like there's so many people that have gone for their masters now, or
Yeah.
PhDs and doctorates, that didn't think that was even possible. And I'm always encouraging and pushing that as well, and trying to inspire others. That's my main motivator, I would say. For me, it's the opportunity to challenge the status quo and make that meaningful change, and kind of push people into development and lifting others. That's really important. And then you see other people doing that as well. So that's really important as well.
Yeah.
Um, and probably finally on that one, it's about finding your purpose. I know Simon Sinek talks about finding your why, but I'm always like, there's no greater freedom than finding your purpose. So I never let my circumstances stifle my dreams or silence my voice. I think that's really important. I've tried to use that as a catalyst for change, and I'm hoping that that's kind of gone through the teams that I've been part of and led on. I can see that's been a thing as well, that it's visible that they've taken that on board as well. So yeah.
I always think happiness is directly linked to purpose, and purpose is directly linked to happiness.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
absolutely.
What are you most proud of, Dezita? What is it that you
Oh gosh,
think to
I knew you were
date?
going to
Because
ask
there
me
might be
this.
a lot more in the future, but to date, what is it?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this, and I'm so like, oh, it could every day it's something different. What am I most proud of? Can I have a professional and personal one?
Of
Can I have two?
course.
Okay. Professionally, it was achieving my master's because again, having the title of associate professor doesn't mean that you're excellent academically. I still have to work at it, and that was going through COVID and really difficult times as well. And to achieve that, and I'll be walking across the stage in July time, family and friends looking. I'm really proud of that. Of
Yeah,
that, definitely from
yeah.
a professional perspective. But
Mm.
within that, being able to do a dissertation on something so close to my heart, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do that. So I've been able to write a dissertation on my experiences of senior leadership, which will then allow me to be able to write articles and publications and to go on to do my PhD and to carry on that research. I'm really excited about that. Um, but personally, that's that. Professionally, I think it is, I would definitely say, taking on the associate professor role during COVID because that's been my biggest task to date and working with a team that was so big, with numbers of students that were so large, with employer partners that, were really under it at the time. There was
Yeah,
so much learning from that. But to be able to look back on that and then see the team now, I'm filled with pride every day. I'm always getting emotional in front of them, and leaders can be emotional too. It's absolutely fine. Um, Sometimes I can't even get out the thanks that I want to be able to say to them because they're just amazing. They're just and that goes through them, and then that goes through to the students as well. It's just I'm so proud of them because they've had to do the hard work. I've been guiding them and trying to motivate them, but ultimately they have to do that hard work, and they've trusted me to be able to lead them in a purposeful way, and I'll never forget that.
yeah. And we will never forget that, Zita. We relied on all of the amazing healthcare workers, right? And
Yeah.
so, in order to get them into the jobs, you were on the other side. And so,
Hmm.
that makes me emotional to think about it because actually, that
Mm.
was, we relied on all the amazing people working within healthcare to keep.
It was huge.
It
And
was
I know
huge. It
that
was
it
huge.
was.
And in the UK, at least, we had these times when we were clapping for healthcare workers. I think it was
Yeah,
once a week. And I thought, yes, I want to clap for them. But actually, the ultimate goal is to pay these incredible people decently.
absolutely.
And we are not doing that right now. And that's
No,
why I
no.
feel very upset about more budget cuts because actually we're taking away the well being of people, the people who deliver those jobs, but also the people
Absolutely.
who depend on healthcare. And that's all of us. That's
Yeah.
every person in this country.
And I will say the nursing associates, which are part of my program, they were the only ones to not be, as we say, pulled from the front line because they were much needed in healthcare.
Mm,
To the extent that they weren't. So other courses were pulled back and paused, etc. The nursing associates wasn't at Birmingham City University. We
mm.
carried on to make sure that we could deliver service needs and to be able to support our employer partners and work in collaboration with them. It was a beautiful thing to reflect back on, definitely.
Yeah.
And we get our students to come back, our learners, and they talk about their experiences and talk to the other learners. It's just a beautiful thing to see and hear.
Yeah, that's full circle. That must be incredible.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Zita, so what are your plans and your goals? How do you see your next years unfold? How do you envision yourself leading in the future?
I always joke, I say, maybe next year will be a quiet year. Maybe that one will be the year. And my friends roll their eyes, they're like, it's never going to be a quiet year. I think PhD or doctorate, I'm still deciding which one route to go through. But that will be carrying on the research in regards to the experiences of mixed race women and their educational experiences as well. Through that, I would like to publish a book. I've already thought about this. So when I was writing, I was so excited about what I was writing and getting all the narratives from everybody else as well. I think a book would definitely be on there.
Yeah,
And some more publications for my dissertation to publish that and get some more because the body of research out there is so small. I
yeah,
would like to be able to contribute towards that.
yeah.
Some more collaborative work with charities such as Race Matters and Mixed Race Faces. I've done some work with them before, so to be able to carry that on would be
Mm,
amazing.
mm,
I'd love to be able to do coaching and mentoring. I don't have as much time as I would love to have for it right now, but I really want to be able to make time for that in the future because I think that's really important and much needed, and continue to push forward, leading in the future. Um, I don't think I'd change any way that I'm happy with the way that I lead. I mean, it has to adapt to different things, but it's transformative, it's inclusive. I'd like to be able to sustain that and be able to do that. And then who knows, in academia, I might go back to healthcare, who knows, and do
Mm.
leadership there. What I'm trying to say is the world's your oyster, isn't it? There's so many opportunities out there, and I'm excited by that, to see where this goes. But yeah, those are the kind of the things in my mind at the moment.
Dezita, and what would you like our listeners to take away from your story?
Again, I think the takeaways would go back to letting go of who you're supposed to be, you think you're supposed to be, and embracing who you are. And that's a really powerful message because it's not an easy one to do.
Mm.
But I think embracing who you are and reaching out to all the networks and charities and just the support that's out there is really important. And again, it's about finding that why and finding that purpose. And like I said before, just because your early narrative is something, it doesn't mean it's got to carry on throughout as well. It's about making sure that you use it as a catalyst for change, as I said before. I think that's really important. And yeah, just to not be tied down to one thing. I mean, I'm an operating department practitioner by background, yet I work in nursing and midwifery. It's unseen, it's unheard of, because we keep quite separate in regards to that. And it just, just go for things. If I'd have seen this job advertised, I might not have gone for it because I might have thought, oh, it's nursing, it's not an allied health profession. And I'm here now doing a great job. We bring different skills and attributes and experience to things. So it's about not limiting yourself in regards to that. And that's really important. And for leadership, it's about, especially these days, is trying to be visible,
Mm.
making sure you're as visible as possible. People need that. People need stability and security, and visibility is going to be really key in regards to that. I'm a hands-on leader. I can't help that. I like to get in the mix of things, and that will never change, definitely.
Dezita, I am so happy that you have told your story to She Can today
Thank you.
because
Thank you for
you
the
are an
opportunity.
incredibly inspirational leader who leads by example with her story and the collective in mind and for the greater good. And I think that's an incredible theme. Cause, not applause. I loved when you said that. I think be brave when you face fears. I think that's very important and
Yeah,
very central to your story. So thank you so much for taking the time today and thank you for everything you
thank
do.
you. No problem. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Take care. Thank you.